morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching from. I just want to give a trigger warning that the video that we're going to be talking about is very serious and pretty sensitive. So if police brutality, police violence, or death at the hands of police is something that is very sensitive to you, I would advise you to skip this video. But even if not, please proceed with caution because there are a lot of details in this case that may be very disturbing for some people to hear. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get clocked in. So on January 7th of this year, 29-year-old Tyre Nichols was pulled over by officers of the Memphis Police Department. Now, when he was approached by these officers, they pulled him over and they were in an unmarked car and they were pulling him over for allegedly driving recklessly. Now, when the officers approached Nichols, they were also not wearing their uniform, their police uniform, and their attire seemed to consist of them wearing a hoodie. Now, apparently in Memphis, there's been a string of crimes relating to people posing as police officers and pulling people over and then carjacking them. So when these officers initially approached Tyre Nichols, he may have believed that that is what was going on and that's what the situation was. So he fled on foot, running away from them. Now these officers, they chased after him on foot as well and eventually caught up to Tyre. And when they met him and a second confrontation ensued, three of the officers began to beat Tyre. They were beating him very violently and brutally, and there were two other officers who were also on the scene. Now, these other two officers did not intervene and stop what was going on. Instead, those other two officers joined in with the other three in beating Tyre. With five officers, five fully grown men beating on this one man at one time, they broke and snapped Tyre's neck in the process of them being so violent and so brutal towards him. And none of them called for an ambulance or rendered any type of aid to Tyre. But eventually he was taken to a hospital. And 3 days later, after him being admitted into the hospital, he did go into cardiac arrest along with other complications that he was experiencing, and Tyre Nichols passed away on January 10th. Now his family, and this is coming from their hired attorney Benjamin Crump, his family does believe that the abrasions and contusions to his head is what ultimately led to Tyre passing away after he sustained all of these injuries. Tyre unfortunately leaves behind his entire family, as well as a 4-year-old son who I'm pretty sure can't even comprehend what may be going on right now. So my thoughts, my prayers, and my heart really goes out to the family that he has left behind. And as far as the cowards with badges go, Desmond Mills, Demetrius Haley, Emmitt Martin, Justin Smith, and Taddarius Bean have all been named as the 5 officers who were involved in this violent crime against Tyre Nichols that ultimately resulted in his death. All 5 officers have seemingly or have almost immediately been fired from their position. After an internal investigation, they have been found to have violated 3 of their department's codes, which include the use of excessive force. They violated their duty to intervene as well as their duty to render aid. Again, all of them were involved of physically beating Mr. Nichols. None of them intervened, stepped in, or said that, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, or that's enough, or to stop. None of them said any of that to the other. And after they were done beating Tyre Nichols, none of them thought to call an ambulance or to go ahead and give CPR or any type of aid that probably would have helped in preventing his death ultimately. Now, the almost immediate firing of these 5 officers has really come as a shock to a lot of people, and we're going to get into why that is. So, the video footage from the body cam on the officers has not been released yet. And from the people who have watched the video, they say that they have been very disturbed by the contents of that video and by the actions that was taken by the police officers. So a lot of people are assuming that because of the video footage being so vile and so bad and so brutal, that's what made the department immediately fire all 5 of the officers who were involved. Those who have seen the video say that it is egregious in nature, and they even compare it to the video of Rodney King having been beaten as well, and they said that it's definitely far worse than the George Floyd video too. Other people also speculate that race has a big part in why these officers were immediately fired. All 5 officers are Black males, and in the past we have seen police brutality and it coming from people who were white police officers. And when the police officers have been white, no matter the nature or the gravity of their crimes and their violence against Black people, they have seemingly been let off very easily. They basically got paid vacations even after video footage was released of all the disgusting things that they did or that they took part of, which they also could have prevented, or anything that they just lended a hand in. They were not immediately fired as these 5 officers were. Now, I'm not saying that these 5 Black officers should have gotten the same treatment as the other ones, that they should be on a paid vacation essentially, or that the department should have gone easy on them, because if any officer whose duty it is to serve and protect is doing the complete opposite and is in fact terrorizing and murdering or brutally beating the people who they are supposed to be serving and protecting, all of them deserve to be immediately fired. All of them deserve to be put in jail. But it's very apparent that there has been some differences in the way that these officers have been treated as opposed to other officers who were not Black. Now, the authorities in Memphis have advised local businesses to prepare, and a lot of businesses in Memphis are buying hazard insurance because once the video of the incident is released to the public, the officials there are expecting for a shitstorm. They are expecting people to take to the streets and for there to be a lot of uproar coming from the community in Memphis behind Tyre Nichols. Now, again, the video footage has not been released to the public yet. They have had a very tight hold on this video, but apparently today the family is going to be shown the body cam footage. The authorities also say that after the investigation is complete and once the family has seen the video footage, that later on this week or sometime in the near future, the body cam footage will be released to the public. And that is what they are advising businesses to prepare for, and that is what they are preparing for as well. Now, I do feel a little bit differently about the situation. In terms of how people may react to it. And I completely understand for local authorities to advise like the businesses there in Memphis and to advise like all of the other like law enforcement officials to be prepared of what may come from this situation. But there is something that I want to speak about that people may not really understand. And this is just my personal opinion. If you still feel the need to go ahead and prepare for what may come of people, or what may come of the body cam footage being released, by all means go ahead. Better safe than sorry. But I don't think that a lot of these officials understand why protests lead to riots or why protests even happen in the first place. And with this situation being handled differently from the others, I feel like there's going to be a little less of that outrage or like the violence that we usually see when things of this sort happen. And I say that because, as I stated earlier, the police officers in this situation are treated differently from other police officers in previous situations that we've seen play out. These people were immediately fired. They were immediately charged with violating their department's codes. And it seems as though they are going to be held accountable for what they did. A lot of those other protests and riots and all the violence that, came about from Black people being murdered at the hands of police officers really came about because there was nothing being done, because the department was withholding information. They were protecting their own. They were protecting these white officers who were killing our people. They were making excuses for them. They were giving them paid leave. They were sending them on a vacation essentially, and they were trying to hide things, or they weren't being very vocal about the disgusting nature of the things that were done by their own officers. Those things are what enraged our community to act in the way that they did. But again, in this situation, this is something that has been handled differently. So I don't see as much rioting coming from this. Protests, yes, the community coming together and being vocal about how they feel and what's been going on, yes, but I don't see this situation when it comes to the community. I don't see the situation playing out similarly to other situations that we have, given the simple fact that these 5 officers were immediately fired and not sent on a vacation. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on the situation. But again, as more information comes of it, I'll keep you guys updated. And after the video is released, I'll probably do another video talking about that footage as well. But for now, that's all that we have. Again, my thoughts and my prayers go out to Tyre Nichols' family. I just hope that they are able to get justice for their loved one. That's all for today, and I will see you guys next time. Clocking out.